Avtarjeet Singh Dhanjal. Avtarjeet Singh Dhanjal, born 10 April 1940, is an England-based sculptor of Indian origin, as well as a multimedia artist of Indian origin whose work has been shown internationally over 4 decades, who is nourished by the tension between the cultures of East and West, occupies a singular place in contemporary sculpture. Avtarjeet Dhanjal's international reputation as an artist derives primarily from his work over many years, especially in the 1970s, 1980s, and 1990s, as a sculptor working in various mediums like wood, aluminium, stone, seeking out the relation to natural substances like weathered rocks and soil in his sculpture. His more recent work is focused on photography, installation, and writing. After leaving art school in 1970, he traveled extensively around East Africa, gaining a teaching post with the Kenyatta University College in Nairobi, before giving this up to attend St. Martin's School of Art, London in 1974. Dhanjal seeks to produce art that enhances the quality of human life in part by inviting silence, stillness, and contemplation. He argues that to be truly creative, the artist needs to disengage himself from the races of contemporary society and the art world itself, that the artist's quest should be to escape from the crowd and become attuned to the inner silence. Thus, Dhanjal's work draws heavily on his experience of Indian aesthetic traditions, blending them with the influence of European and specifically British modernist sculpture. Early life. He was born on 10 April 1940 in a small village, Dalla in Ludhiana, Punjab, India, to a craftsman, where folk arts, crafts, and folk poetry were part of daily life without calling them art. After graduating high school in 1956, he worked as a carpenter, sign writer, before joining the arts school at Chandigarh. He got married at the age of 18 and has 3 children. During his art school years in Chandigarh, he produced figurative work in wood, clay, plaster. His first wood carvings were immediately 1966 purchased by the Chandigarh Museum and encouraged him to venture into large works in various mediums. Again, in 1968, his large sculpture about space travel was revealed immediately after the launch of Apollo 8. This was also purchased by the Chandigarh Museum. As an established artist, Dhanjal traveled to Africa in 1970 where, having visited much of the continent, he secured a teaching post at Kenyatta University College in Nairobi, Kenya. In 1974, he moved to Britain and studied postgraduate sculpture at St. Martin's School of Art 1974-75 under William Tucker. There his experimental work in aluminium was noticed by Alcan Aluminium UK Limited. Striving to unite his interests in Western modernism and Eastern culture and philosophy, this resulted in a sculpture commission, an abstract work in stone and metal exploring the ground plan of an Indian temple, a recurring theme in his later works. He realized the importance of village culture and became very concerned about the pace at which the culture was disappearing. This experience also initiated a process of unlearning the Western idea of art, and he began to develop his own conceptualization. During the 1980s, Dhanjal received commissions for a number of major public art projects in Britain, India, Brazil, and the US. At the beginning of 1990s, Dhanjal went to study temple sculpture and, in 1991, started a complex commission for the Cardiff Bay Development Trust, a sculptural interpretation of the I Ching, the Book of Changes. He lived in London for 12 years before moving to Ironbridge in 1987, where he still lives and works. Education. In 1945-55, he did his schooling from Government School, Malla, Punjab. Avtarjeet Singh Dhanjal did his graduation from Government College of Art, Chandigarh in sculpture, in 1965–1970. After completing his education in 1970, he left India to tour East Africa in 1971, where he traveled and exhibited his works on paper in Kenya, Tanzania, Malawi, Zambia, and Ethiopia, and studied the Western influence on traditional wood carving. In 1974, he moved to Britain and studied postgraduate sculpture at St. Martin's School of Art 1974–75 under William Tucker. Career. After completing his schooling, he worked in his father's trade as a carpenter and blacksmith for a period of 3 years from 1955–58. From 1958 to 1965, from 1971–1973, he taught at Kenyatta University College, Nairobi, Kenya. Not satisfied with the easy job of teaching, he left 1974 to study further at the St. Martin's School of Art, London. Lived in London 1975–1987 and moved to Ironbridge in 1987, where he still lives and works. He has supported the visual arts and encourages cultural links between Asia and Britain. He set up the Punjabi Institute Exchange Program for students and teachers in the Punjab and Shropshire, and has been a trustee of the South Asian Visual Arts Festival. The General Post Office, UK, has published a commemorative stamp celebrating Avtarjeet Dhanjal's 50 years of creativity in 2015. Works. Dhanjal's artworks, writings, installations, and performances are imbibed with the spirit of Indian values, with the essence of village life taking their expression in the set standards of Western artistic mode. The formative study which he undertook at Chandigarh Art School during his mid-20s gave him the concept of making objects, which he continued doing for many years. Time and intense experimentation refined his vision and practice, and his work eventually culminated in a body of non-figurative art and kinetic experiments in various mediums like metal, stone, wood, and with the combinations of all, setting up his creations outdoor, both the creation and the environment supporting each other. His installations consist of sculptural objects that take the forms as stools, benches, steps, wells, and pavement slabs. These act as visual accessories designed to involve viewer in its wholeness physically as well as spiritually. He incorporates various elements in his installations like stones devoid of all human intervention save the little niches carved out to inculcate other elements like water and fire. His slate works finds evocative of the depth of darkness of the night in the rural Punjab. Therefore, Dhanjal is one artist who has produced extraordinary work of international quality for an artist to be in the center stage. His work has the quality of transcending oneself from mundane to the higher realms. Jack Rangasamy. Current projects. Searching for light in continuation of series of works in slate and candles, alluding to the dark nights in the village, where I grew up in India. Present work using camera as a tool to capture the spirit of the dark nights in black and white images. Limitless, where scientists' logic stops, the artist's intuition picks up. Through my new work on paper and in my writing, I am exploring the limitlessness of the space in art in the universe. I am using artists' intuition to imagine the limitlessness of the universe. I am using the same intuition that was used by Democritus and Anaxagoras to postulate their theory of nuclear structure. Exhibitions. 2015, April-May, Power of Silence exhibition of photographs and drawings at Diversity Gallery, Bute Town History and Arts Centre, UK. 2007, February-March, Third Culture, Kapeli, Helsinki, Finland. April-May, Their Culture, Rundetårn, Copenhagen, Denmark. 2006, Kalamatri, The Museum of Fine Arts, Chandigarh, India. 2005, 2003, The Gallery, Bristol, England, the Edward Wilmot Blyden Project. Exo Art Art Hall, Porvoo, Finland. 2001, Outside of Inside, Vienna, Austria. Dialogue, St. Petersburg, Russia. 2000, Autumn Saloon, Palace, Krakow, Poland. Participation, Helsinki, Finland. 1997, survey show organized by Institute of International Visual Arts, London, held at the Pichangar Manor Museum. 1995, Freedom Exhibition for Amnesty International at Glasgow Museum, Baths Gallery, Belfast, City Gallery, Southampton. 1991, participated in the South of the World show at Galleria Civica d'Arte Contemporanea, Marsala, Sicily. 1989, participated in The Other Story at the Hayward Gallery, London. 1983, show at Springe Museum, Springe, Germany. Public commissions. 1999, commission for Thorpe Meadow Millennium Youth Hostel, Peterborough, uncompleted. 1998, commission for Swan Bank, 1, Coventry. Commission for M. Sly Horniman Pleasantsetwo, London. Invited to exhibit at Palais des Nations, Geneva, September 1999. 1997, developed the master plan for Farm Park 12-acre inner city park, Birmingham. Not materialized. 1996, commission for 3, Bradford. 1992-96, lead sculptor for Maltings Park, a 10-acre 40,000 m2 space for the Cardiff Bay Development Corporation, a conceptual piece of sculpture that will weave through the whole park. 4, 5, 6. 1992, installation 5,000 candles for justice at the Parque Ibirapuera for the Museu de Arte Contemporânea, São Paulo, Brazil. 1991, an environmental sculpture for the city of Chandigarh, India. 1989, public sculpture for Senellis Park in Birmingham. 1983, 83 steps at Margam Park, South Wales. 1987, invited participant in Intel competition for Galton Valley, Birmingham. Not materialized. 1986, public sculpture, Dunstall Henge, at Peace Green, Wolverhampton. 1985, 2 installations for St. Louis Arts Festival. 15 floating flames at the Grand Basin in the City Park and Peacemaker in Maryland Plaza. 1981, public sculpture for Bodycote House, Banbury, Oxon. 1977, sculpture for 8. Selected bibliography. Monograph published by the Institute of International Visual Arts, 1997, available from in Ivy Annan, London, Corner House, Manchester. Fire, Water and Stone by S. Aurahane, Yusei Ikbenaten, Japan, pp. 1317, August 1991. World's Meet in Dhanjal's Art by C. Andrea, The Christian Science Monitor, 7. 1. 91 p. 10. Acontes by Alvaro Machado, Falha de S. Paul 11, 6. 10. 1990 p. 11. Homeland and Foundland by S. Aurahane 12. The London 8/9, 1989 pp. 165-172. Art in Action by Bill Lonsdale, Landscape Design, London, October 1987 pp. 24-27. Piece Through Sculpture by Victor Volland, St. Louis Post-Dispatch 1328. 3. 1985 p. 16. Avtarjeet Dhanjal by Shelagh Aurahane, Sculpture in a Country Park, 1983, Welsh Sculpture Trust, pp. 84-87. Rastovi Mostovi Podgorjensai by Jelko Sprager, 7 Ljubljana, September 1982, pp. 810. A Punjabi Sculptor in London by Arpana Kurferteen, Indian Express, India 15, 11 million. 111,978 p5. Sculptures That Sways in the Breeze by Asif Khan, Morning Echo, New Delhi 3/10, 1978. Media coverage. Stories of Art B.B. Cohn, broadcast on 19 September 1993. Contemporaries, a documentary by Channel 4, broadcast on 5 March 1987. Open Studio, a 30-minute interview by Harold Fowkes on BBC Radio Shropshire. References